evening, or welcome back to Dust, and we're going to have more of an upbeat, again, message today. How you doing, bro? Happy joy. To be honest, it's funny really, because I've had some pretty good games lately. We're streaming a bit more, actually. If you weren't aware of that, you might want to follow our Twitch stream, because we do stream relatively often now. Not always Dust, I should probably point that out, but we do. Again, I do like playing Dust. Streaming is a funny thing, because my internet connection was laid by Queen Victoria herself. So it's probably, and I'm not kidding, it's probably about 80 years old. The cable that runs to my village is easily about 80 years old, because the village is kind of crusty. It's like, if you ever seen a program called Midsummer Murders, it's what old people watch before they're preparing themselves to die. It's basically this kind of very English twee kind of thing, which, to be honest, is a great representation of where I live. Very, very kind of greeny and nice and lovely anyway. So that's why I don't actually have a very good broadband connection. It's close to comical. If I run speedtest.net, other speed test services are available. I get just basically a clown laughing at me and pointing at me and saying, lol, bro. Anyway, we're putting tanks today. As you'll notice, I ran away like a coward, because that's how you win. No, I'm kidding. We decided to run tanks. They also happen to run tanks. So this is going to be an interesting, kind of a match. It's always nice when you have these kind of matches where it's kind of like the immovable object meets the, what is it? I forgot. That's terrible, isn't it? I've already forgotten what it means. The unstoppable force meets the immovable object, whatever. And it's and these kind of rounds are actually fun, because pretty much no side wants to give up. So there we go. I kind of wanted to show a bit of tank footage as well, because I still think that the one thing this game has, which is of incredible fun, interest and importance, is vehicles. Okay, the dropship's a load of pissy bilge now, but there's not a lot we can do about that. The dropship is dead, RIP, but tanks are still kind of fun, and I think if you get a good player in a tank, not me, but if you get a good player in a tank, they are still very potent things. So I think tanking is still a huge amount of fun. It's the one thing that this game got absolutely spot on, was the ability to have dropships, lighter vehicles, tanks, and so on. Most shooters, even Destiny is a great example here. Why did Destiny not have vehicles in it that were actually not shit? The jet bike's nice, but it's completely pointless. You can't shoot from it. You can't joust people with it. You can't use it. And it's kind of like, I never understood why, like, so many games get vehicles wrong. Halo did the Warthog quite nicely, but and the tanks, I guess, were okay in that. But again, I don't know. They always felt like a power-up that you could use if you were lucky. And Dust has given you the ability to actually specialise into being a tank, which I always thought was just a genius stroke, really. So I know I never really understood it. I never got it. I never quite kind of understood why tanks were so unpopular, really, because I think they're brilliant. I mean, look at that. That was a hell of a fight. That picked my moment, bided my time, and then jumped out of the darkness, kicked him square in the balls, nicked his wallet, and ran off into the night. That is like gameplay that you want to enjoy and have fun doing. So, hey ho, I don't know. I think this is something that, again, hopefully, and I'm still fingers crossed hoping here, when Legion comes, they do more with the tanks. I really do, because, and even then, Dust would be nice if they added more tanks to it. Even having the enforcers, what are they called? Enforcers? Marauder tanks? Do you know? I don't remember what they were called, but the tier 2 tanks that used to be in the game, I didn't really see the point of them, if I'm honest with you, but there could be a point for them now. So I think you have to trade on what are your unique selling points, and I think for Dust, the gun game's pretty fun. It's nice. There's a nice sci-fi feeling to the game, which I think is also one of its USPs. But I would say one of the big USPs for this game is just this, tank battles. Look, this is fun, crazy tank battles, and I think this is exactly the kind of fun that you want. Look at that. Boom, completely annihilated him. And I think this game has got tanks down to a T. There you go. Look, I'm being positive. Look at me being positive, you're saying. What's happened? Is there a solar eclipse? Is there a blood moon? No, it's just, I don't know. You always have to celebrate the good and the bad. And I think oftentimes we're always very critical of what we love. Just think to your partners, if you have partners. When was the last time you told them how lovely they looked in that very fetching blouse? Things like this. If you've never done that, then douche, dude, you're a douche and you're going to lose her, him, whatever. And I think that's kind of the reality of it, is that you should always praise and you should always critique in equal measures. So there we go. I honestly got to say that the tank game, when you play it with a group of buddies, is amazing fun. I know it's kind of, you're still constrained most times. By that I mean it's very difficult to kind of get a good round where maybe the other side bring tanks as well. What generally happens is one side gives in, and this is what I mentioned in the last video, and this is a bit of a frustration of mine at the moment, is that in most rounds, in most games, be it skirmish, be it dom, eventually, very quickly, one side gives in. And as you see here, the enemy team were not bad at all. They were good players. They just gave up. And they gave up. And the only thing, what they resorted to, and again, it's this weird kind of preservation of assets that I think is the problem. And I think that's the problem throughout, is that there's this, because people know they're losing real money. No one's as gung-ho as maybe they would like them to be at all times. And I think because they've lost like a couple of tanks now, we also lost tanks, but because they have lost real ISK, they've given up and they're not bringing it, and they're not coming at us. And I think that is, again, a slight frustration, because now it just turns into 5 minutes of fun, 15 minutes of waiting for the timer to end. And that's a shame. There needs to be something, and I don't know what it is, but there needs to be something in the game that just says, here you go, here's some help. And a nice way that they do this, but it still doesn't work, is when CIUs start to drop in certain game modes, they are for the enemy. Whoever's losing gets those CIUs behind enemy lines in some case. The problem is that there's just no easy way to do that. Again, I'm not trying to design games here. I just want to highlight problems, and I think this is very typical. So you see, first 5 minutes of this match was fun because it was a real tussle to see who has the upper hand. But there's just not the groups in the game anymore that can fight back. I don't know why. I think a lot of groups just say, oh well, we've lost. First 3 minutes, they got the point, I'm going to leave. And half the groups leave. A lot of people just sit back and snipe. I don't know, it's odd. I can't quantify it because it just feels a bit strange. This is why I think Ambush is so popular, because you don't get that at all. Ambush is just one long fight. Because there are no objectives. And okay, sometimes if you're being stomped, people stop logging in, they just sit at the selection screen. I get that, but it's a lesser degree. In this, there is such a long, look at how long we've had to wait now for the game to finish. It's just going on, and we're just waiting for someone to do something. The only thing they did do, which was quite weird, was they just used cloak scouts to try and hack the point. No idea why. They know how defended it is. But there we go. So I think this is definitely something that is a negative to the positives of the tank. What they did do in this particular match was they were bringing in the odd tank here and there to try and tank hunt us. So this would be a glass cannon seeker, or even a gun logi, which was railgun fit with damage mods, etc. And oh look, that scout's hacking. And what they would do is then just try and snipe or even rush one of our tanks. And they did a good job on it. I lose this tank because I basically pressed map on the controller like a knob. And you'll see that in just a moment. But there we go, look at him. Boom. Again, I can't blame him for that. He's trying to do what I wish more would do. But he's doing it on his own against a group of people who are sat on the point. It just doesn't work. It doesn't feel right. And I think that's my kind of... that's my issue with it, I guess. I really do wish that there was an ability to, I don't know, change sides maybe. Again, massively open to exploitation, etc. But maybe it would be nice if you could do something to balance it somehow. I don't know. Maybe, I would like, here's a thought, that maybe if it's a total stomp and you can do it, and then literally there's like the 3/3 of the map. Do you see what I mean? You've got our side, you've got the middle where the point is, and then you've got their side. So let's just say it as thirds. If the game could detect that there's just nobody in any of the map, then we take it quicker. Do you see what I mean? Like PlanetSide 2 does that. If you have nobody in the base defending the base, and they have 100 players, they're going to capture that thing in minutes because it just goes quicker because there's more people capturing it. And I don't know if it's possible, just posing an idea out there, if it was possible to do that, where if you had like the whole gang, like 16 people sat around the objective point and there was just no enemy within range at all, maybe that would go quicker, the game would finish. I don't know. There has to be a commercial benefit to that because it means that the game finishes quicker, so therefore actually the connection times are not as open as long, and you get more rounds, you get into another round quicker. This is the kind of thing that I think, I don't know if it's possible, but it would be nice to do because it means you very quickly finish the map. And this is why this video is a great example of that problem, because effectively until nothing happened all the way through the match from almost the first 5 minutes was the fun bit. Then all of a sudden they rushed now. So at this point their tanks are coming out right now to come deal with us, and that's nice. I mean, again, I know that they're kind of making a final push to kill tanks, and I respect them ultimately for that. I ran right into him, and look at me press the map right now. What a prick I am that I managed to press the wrong flipping button. I somehow managed to survive. I had to jump out. That sucks. As you can see, they did make a concerted effort to come at us, which is awesome, and I do really like that. I think you have to give props to an enemy that does try it, but the sad point of it is that I just think it's too little too late, and I would love to have seen, look at that, 3 tanks, and we've got our 3 tanks now pushing theirs. That's funny. They're panicking a bit. Can you tell? But I think that's the fun bit, and I think look at that, tank down, boom, 1 dead. I think that's lovely, and this is the way the map should have been from the start. And maybe just by having that mechanic that shows if they're not even trying to contest the point, then it goes quicker and quicker and quicker, then that would have been awesome. CCP, if you're listening, just an idea for you there we go. Fun match though. I mean, they are out there. I think you do have to kind of, every so often you do have to kind of suffer a little bit of the kind of annoying rounds, but this was a fun round, and I think we show again the beauty of the game with its diversity with the tanks. I think that's hopefully very clear. This game can be amazing at times, and that's what kept people here, but I think it's just getting fewer and further between those amazing points. And I think if anything needs to be done, it needs to be speed the rounds up. This drained everybody because we were sat for 10 minutes waiting for something to happen for the match to finish, and I think that needs to be completely sped up. And it just has to be public matches. I wouldn't do this for PC or anything like that, but I think if PC matches where all of a sudden the side just everybody starts sniping, then immediately count down quicker, make it so that the aggressor can quickly end the map because they're not even trying, so therefore they're not going to win, etc. There we go, got some interesting salvage. I need to look at the salvage a bit more, but I think generally, lost a tank, but I didn't lose a client, so there we go. I did jump out. I know I'm a bit of a hypocrite for saying I never do that, but it's because I looked at the map like a knob. But there we go. So as you can see, look, very familiar names. Again, we played these guys over and over. Chrome Storm, good guy, nice guy. He, again, just really good player. We just end up playing these people over and over, so I just wanted to highlight that as well. But there we go. Hope you enjoyed that. Positive one today, isn't it? Don't you think? Hey? Hope you enjoyed that. See you next time.